I'd like to personally thank everybody back here to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics on this channel. And speaking of those tropics, let's look down here. You can see across the Caribbean and into portions of the Central America, we actually have some convection, some thunderstorm activity this morning. That is crossing west into the eastern Pacific Ocean, and that will be giving us a little bit of a chance of some development over the next few days. The National Hurricane Center has a 20% chance of development over the next 7 days or so, just to the south of Mexico and west of the Central Americas there over the eastern Pacific Ocean. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. While what promises to be a very active and potentially record-breaking hurricane season in the North Atlantic Basin, over the next 7 days, we actually do not see any investigative areas of circulation, any cyclones or anything like that. So that is some good news across the North Atlantic Basin. Back here closer to home, temperatures this morning starting off mild across the middle of the country in the Great Plains here up in the Dakotas. We're starting off in the 50s and 60s. Further south towards Oklahoma, Texas, and Louisiana, temperatures down here are into the 70s this morning. And this afternoon, we're going to be heating up again across portions of the southern plains. Look at West Texas here, Amarillo, down to Lubbock, down the Midland there, the Fort Stockton area, Abilene, all those areas, low to mid 90s this afternoon. 84 in the portions of Fort Lauderdale, down there in towards portions of Miami, Florida, Daytona Beach as we go into the afternoon as well. A little cooler to the north though. You can see Chicago on the lakefront, 64, 61 for an afternoon high in Milwaukee, 76 in the Twin Cities region of Minneapolis, St. Paul. As we go into Friday, you can see the heat lingers across the south. Not as hot there across West Texas. And you know why? Because we have thunderstorms that are going to be moving through. We'll be talking about that here in just a moment. But if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. Again, we talk about southern Canada, the United States, the tropics on this channel. Also, be sure to give it a like down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll talk about those after the video. And you can see here, here's the storm risk as we go in toward today. The day one outlook from the Storm Prediction Center paints a level 3 out of 5 on the risk scale here. This is an enhanced risk across West Texas with a slight risk extending up there toward the Front Range into Colorado, and then the marginal risk up there toward the Midwest and the Northern Plains as we go through the day today. Wind is going to be a big factor, especially here in West Central Texas, where you see these dashed lines. That's where we could see wind gusts over 75 miles per hour. Also, some hail as well. Anywhere you see the brown, yellow, or red shaded color, but where you see these dashed lines again in West Texas, that's where we could be seeing those hen egg size hailstones or larger. That is 2 inches in diameter or larger today. And we even have a little bit of a tornado risk as well, with a 5% chance of a tornado within a 25-mile point of, say, the Lubbock, Texas area, Midland, Texas, and Abilene as we go through today, with a 2% area in the green extending up there into eastern Colorado, western Kansas, and south central Nebraska. So let's look at the setup here for severe weather today. Dew points are advecting north from the western Gulf of Mexico up into the plains here. Southward extent, it's going to be a lot more rich moisture. So down in Texas and Oklahoma, dew points will be well into the 60s, if not the low 70s. Northward extent in towards Kansas, especially though as you get into Nebraska there, you're going to see more of lower dew points into the middle and upper 50s as we go in towards the afternoon today. That will yield some instability. Here's your thunderstorm fuel through the day. The highest instability values, of course, will be where the richer moisture is. So down into Texas with northward extent, as the moisture drops off, the instability or thunderstorm fuel won't be as intense, but we still have enough for severe weather potential. So going through late this morning, already seeing some clusters of showers and storms across the central southern plains. Those will continue to march east across Kansas, Oklahoma, and North Texas. As we go into the afternoon, more storms bubbling up for places like Oklahoma City, Tulsa, down into the Dallas-Fort Worth area over here toward Tyler, Texas. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Additional storms will be firing off here from the Front Range back down here into West Texas. Those will be supercells. Those are the ones we're worried most about. The hurricane force wind gusts over 75 miles per hour, those very large hailstones over 2 inches in diameter, those hen egg size hailstones are larger, and the potential of a couple of tornadoes out here for areas like Amarillo, Lubbock, Midland, even the Abilene area, Wichita Falls, Texas, as we go through the evening. And then as we go into early Friday morning, this is after midnight and before sunrise on Friday, you can see storms all around portions of the plains here. we're going to have a lot of areas that could potentially be affected by severe weather as we go into early Friday morning. And looking at the rainfall here, it will be adding up. So through Friday morning commute, the heaviest rains down here into Oklahoma and Texas, into the Red River Valley, where you see these purples, that is at least 1.5 inches to 2 inches worth of rain. And I would not rule out isolated 3-inch totals, because a lot of this moisture will be wrung out in the form of rainfall from the Gulf of Mexico. So a slight risk for flash flooding is in place across the central and southern plains and the Arklatex region as we go through Friday morning commute. Going into Friday, another active day. Yes, it's been very active for Texas. I continue to show this each and every day. I promise you this is a different graphic. We have a slight risk, again, for severe weather in Texas here. This is mainly for central and eastern Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, southwest Arkansas, and western Louisiana. Wind and hail will be the main threat here, but the tornado cannot be ruled out, although the tornado threat is less than 2% as we go into Friday overall so far. Would not be surprised, though, if they did upgrade that to a 2% as we get closer to the day tomorrow. Looking at moisture as we go into Friday, you can see dew points into the middle and upper 60s across portions of the central and southern plains, maybe tagging the 70s as well. Places like Houston and Lake Charles, definitely seeing the richer moisture down there. Instability will be strongest toward coastal Texas. I think the rain-cooled air from overnight storms into your Friday morning may kind of squelch the atmosphere a little bit. It'll have to recover through the day, so we'll have to see how that works out as we go through Friday. Friday morning, like I said, these storms will provide us with rain-cooled air across Texas. We could already, Friday morning, as you're headed off to work, school, or anything like that, probably starting to see more of those thunderstorms rolling through Abilene, through the Waco region, San Antonio and Austin, maybe the Dallas-Fort Worth area here as well. And then as we go into Friday afternoon, how the atmosphere recovers is very uncertain, but if we do start to see that, we could have more strong storms back here into portions of eastern Colorado, western Kansas, into the Oklahoma and Texas panhandle, and maybe even far eastern New Mexico. Those will try to move east, but they may not survive the eastward jog, as that rain-cooled air will stabilize the atmosphere. So they may not make it to Oklahoma City or Dallas. That is very uncertain right now. It just depends on how the storms tonight form and move across those regions. Overall, though, you can see rainfall Friday, May 31st into the first day of June. Yes, Saturday, June 1st, across the Mississippi Valley here, middle and lower Mississippi Valley, especially centered around Missouri and Arkansas and even northwestern Mississippi, down into Louisiana. That's where we have the heaviest rains of around 1 to 3 inches here. Again, isolated over 3-inch totals, especially where you see Arkansas and Mississippi and northeastern Louisiana come together there, that tri-state area. We see some reds, that's over 3 inches worth of rain, and that could lead to, again, another marginal to slight risk for flash flooding Friday into Saturday. Let's look at the weekend. This is the first weekend here of June, and it definitely won't be feeling like June, at least for most of us. You can see as we go into Saturday afternoon, pleasant spring-like temperatures out here. You can see this starts the meteorological summer, but temperatures into the 60s and 70s. Sunday afternoon, we heat up a little bit across the south-central U.S. into the 80s there, potentially up as far north as South Dakota and Iowa. And looking at the pattern this weekend, you can see we have a trough across the Canadian prairies up here and a ridge across the southern U.S. and into Mexico. We have a little bit of a weakness on the northern side of that ridge, so we're going to see these disturbances moving over top of that Saturday night, and into Sunday, June 2nd. So we have more severe weather in the offing across the plains and down in the Mississippi Valley as we go into Saturday. An area of interest on Sunday. This is their day 4 outlook, already highlighting a slight risk, level 2 out of 5 up here in areas that haven't seen a lot of severe weather. Western Wisconsin into portions of central and southern Minnesota, eastern South Dakota, northwest Iowa as we go into Sunday. This could be expanded, potentially upgraded as we do get closer. And that, remember, that is the area that I was highlighting for the potential of severe weather several days ago. This is my Weather on the Go severe weather forecast for early June. I think the areas in orange, but especially red, will have the highest probability of severe weather moving forward into the first several days of June. So looking at Saturday afternoon, we got storms, peak heating of the day here. We got supercells across portions of the plains. Saturday evening, we are definitely seeing the potential for this to weaken a little bit, and this could lead to, because of less instability. I think we don't have as much instability this weekend. That will lead to less storm coverage Saturday evening. Sunday afternoon, we have a little bit more support for storms up here in the upper Midwest. That could lead to more of a substantial organized line of storms across Wisconsin, Minnesota, back into Iowa here. That definitely could lead to more damaging winds, large hail, and isolated tornadoes in a more widespread area. So this day could get upgraded to a slight or to an enhanced risk, maybe even expanding that slight risk that I showed you there across the upper Midwest on Sunday. Looking as we go into early next work week, Monday here, you can see we have a big trough up here in the southwestern Canada, into British Columbia and Alberta and the northwestern United States. This is going to be diving southeast through the Dakotas as we go into Tuesday and really deepening as we go into Wednesday, June 5th. The middle of next week across the western Great Lakes and upper Midwest, where we have a big ridge out west. What this is going to do, it's going to pull up a lot of instability from the Gulf of Mexico. All that moisture that we see down in Texas is going to just roar northward as we go into Monday. And you can see that will lead to more storms here from the western Great Lakes down into the Missouri Valley on Monday into Monday night. More organized low up here into the northern plains as we go in towards Monday night. That will lift all that moisture northward, so more instability to work with on Tuesday. More organized low up here into Minnesota on Tuesday. That may be the more organized day for severe weather as we go into Tuesday night across portions, say, of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, and eastern Kansas, maybe fishtailing its way down into northern Oklahoma. We'll have to watch to see what the Storm Prediction Center does with that. Then the cold front clears the area as we go into Wednesday, maybe more severe storms. Again, look at all the instability down in Texas again as we go into the middle of next week. We may have some storms trying to build back that way as we go into Wednesday. So long story short, a very active weather pattern is persisting into the middle of next week. The extension of May into June is just going to continue as we go through Wednesday, June 5th. Very heavy rain across the middle of the country. That could extend eastward with time as we get toward the middle of next week, toward the lower Midwest, the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley, even parts of the Mid-Atlantic. So we'll be watching out for that. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns. We'll get those later on in the video, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Thursday out there.